All right, Allison, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Very good. Welcome to everybody who's with us today. I'm Allison Pruitt, the Executive Director of the International Council of Fine Arts Deans, and I am only here to say thank you so very much to our friends at the National New Play Network for presenting today's webinar. I'm going to turn it over to Jess for some Zoom housekeeping. Thank you all at NNPN.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you for having us and welcome everybody. My name is Jess Hutchinson and I am the engagement manager at NNPN. And I am here just to tell you a little bit about how we're going to operate today. So we have all of the participants have been muted and your videos are off, but that doesn't mean you can't communicate with us. You have access to both the chat function and the Q&A. So at any time during our time together today, you can pop a question in the Q&A box and we'll either answer those in writing by typing our responses in the box, or I will answer them live towards the later part of the conversation. And then the chat box, you can either chat to your fellow webinar attendees, or you can chat to the panelists if you need a thing, if you need to get in touch with us during the presentation, the chat box is a good way to do that. And that is really all I have to say, other than to echo the thanks and the welcome and to turn it over to Gwydion.
Hello, everyone. It is lovely to see the number of people who are here. I wish I could see your faces. I hope you all can see mine just fine and hear me just fine. Today, I'm going to be giving about a 25-minute presentation on the New Play Exchange. And then if you're submitting questions while I'm talking, I will circle back, I promise, at the end, and make sure that you all get answers to those questions. So I'm going to start by, oh, Jess, you have disabled participant screen sharing.
I sure haven't on purpose, but let me make that dream a reality. Okay, try now, please.
Yeah, to answer your question, Ivan, in the meantime, it looks like there's 31 people here, so there we go. Okay, so here we are, the New Play Exchange. My name is Gwydion Suilebhan. It's so much easier than it looks. It's Gwydion like Gideon with a W, and the last name is pronounced Sullivan, even though, as you'll see later, it's spelled kind of different. It's the Irish spelling. And I am the project director of the New Play Exchange for NNPN, and that's what we're here to talk about. I think you're going to find it really exciting and really useful. So I want to start by making sure you know what it is. I don't want to assume everyone has the same level of familiarity. Essentially, at its root level, it's the world's largest digital library of scripts by living writers. There's nothing even close to it, but it's more than just a database, right? It's a database with a mission, and that mission is to serve the entire new play sector, which is really diverse. It includes writers and producers and agents and publishers, and of course, higher education in the higher education community as well. So we're really here for everyone and for everyone's common good. Our job is to solicit everyone's needs and understand them and find the tools and the platforms and the resources that are going to give everyone what they need together. So a little bit about who built it. The National New Play Network, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to the continued life of new plays with 125 core member theaters around the country, was the driving force behind the New Play Exchange. But they didn't just build it, or we didn't just build it by ourselves. We had 4 key partners who've been with us from the beginning: the Playwrights Center in Minneapolis, the Playwrights Foundation in the Bay Area, Chicago Dramatists, and literary managers and dramaturgs of the Americas. And truth be told, there have been a lot of other organizations beyond who've been really essential to helping us make sure that the tool really does serve the field, from the Dramatists Guild of America to Abrams Artist Agency to you name it. And it's also worth noting that we didn't just build this tool on our own recognizance. We've had the support, and we still enjoy major support from some key funders, from Doris Duke and Mellon to the NEA. Without their ongoing support of the platform, this wouldn't exist. This is a long-term play. This is not a fly-by-night web startup. In fact, we've been around 5.5 years at this point and are currently in a 3-year redevelopment cycle. So we're here forever. So let's talk about why we exist, our raison d'etre, which we think is really important to establish from the beginning. At some level, there have always been two groups of people. People who make stuff, particularly scripts, but also dramaturgical resources, and people who want that stuff. You might sometimes be on one side or on the other side, but people either make it or want it, whatever it is. And for about 100 years, there was really only one mechanism, one low fidelity technology to connect one thing with the other, and that was the submission process. Writers trying as best they could to get their scripts into whatever inboxes and mailboxes they possibly could, begging at the castle door, trying to have the right credentials to get in. And on the other hand, the people who were faced with this onslaught had to throw up their hands, because after 100 years, it had really stopped working. It was a lot more noise than signal. So they built all kinds of mechanisms to slow the process down, from the need to have certain credentials to limited submission windows to credentialing of all kinds, until the process really broke down and started to fail really everyone. The writers couldn't get their work anywhere, and people who want scripts couldn't find the ones they wanted in all that noise. And then we entered the world as a kind of technology upgrade. We created what we like to think of as a neutral territory, the one place that writers can go to share their work, that artists of all kinds can go to share the resources they've created and the content they've created. And it's that same place with all the tools in the world for people to go to find exactly what they're looking for. It's a kind of a neutral territory, a safe zone, and it really has fundamentally changed the relationships between these two kinds of people. We're pretty happy with what we've done. So what's inside the New Play Exchange? As of maybe 2 days ago, when I updated these numbers, there were 35,800 scripts. It's probably a few more than that now, because they go up and up and up every day. It never goes down. And people ask, well, where are these writers? They're in all 50 states and 7 territories in the United States, and they're actually in 40 different countries. People sometimes ask, are there plays in other languages in our database? There are even some in Korean and Spanish and other languages. They're mostly in English, but there's a lot of diversity in there as well. So it's not just New York playwrights, it's writers of all kinds everywhere. So the key thing I want you to understand is that the New Play Exchange can help your students and your educators find those scripts to read, to study, to learn from, to produce, to direct, to do audition monologues, to assign to students for exercises. It's an incredibly rich resource all in one place. And the search mechanism that helps them get to that stuff is really robust and really hyper modern. We're going to dig down into some of the details later, but for now, what you're looking at is a screenshot of the basic search interface. And I just had typed the letter Q into the search field at the top. Whenever you type a letter in there, you instantly get all of the scripts in our database that have a Q in the title or a Q in the name of the author. Just they appear in a millisecond. And then you have all these tools on the right-hand side of the screen to help you sort the results and filter down to exactly the scripts you might be looking for. At a high level, you can filter based on a lot of different play information. So genre and subject matter and the length of the play and the age of the intended audience of the play, any number of things. You can sort plays by the actors for which there are roles, the type of actors, age, ethnicity, etc. You can sort plays by their narrative attributes. If you're looking for plays, for example, that center characters of color, you can find those. You can even look for plays that have specific kinds of characters if you want to make sure you're telling a story that's relevant, or looking for finding a story that's relevant to a class on, say, Nigerian history. You want to find a Nigerian character, you can look for that. And of course, you can also filter by the demographics of the writers in question. So you can sort by race, ethnicity, gender, even geography if you're looking for writers who are near you. And we're gonna see all this in a little bit more detail when all is said and done. So once you find a play you like, I'm using one of my own so as not to embarrass anybody else, you'll see that there's pretty robust information about the play. There's so much that it's going to actually take me 3 slides to show you everything that's here. On the left side, you see the synopsis of the play, the title, author, synopsis. You will see recommendations by professionals in the field who are familiar with the script and have nice things to say about it to help you understand not only the perspective of the author, but the perspective of others who have taken a look at the script. You see some tools on the right. You can inquire about the rights for the script. You could write a recommendation if you have your own individual account. You can download the script in order to read it, and you can save it to a reading list, which we're going to look at in a little bit. You see all of the metadata about the script: genre, subject matter, length, cast size, etc. You see the top of our section of supporting materials. In this case, there's a video. It's not a video of a performance of the script. It's sort of a marketing video that helps you understand what it's all about. Now I'm going to move to the second screen. You'll see detailed character information on the left. So their play has 5 characters, and you can see that not only is there the name of the character's age, their ethnicity, their gender, and a description of the character, but also information about the actors that the playwright, in this case me, believes could play that character. You see on the right links to reviews of any productions the play has had, which is another form of contextual information about the play. And then on the third screen, you get the play's kind of origin story. You see where it was developed, where people did readings of the play, where it was workshopped, maybe it was commissioned. You get a sense of the production history of the play and any awards it's won. So there's a lot of information all in one page for you. Normally you would just scroll as you get to know the plays that you might be considering. So people often ask, who is in the New Play Exchange? What kind of writers are sharing their work? And really, it's every kind. It's playwrights and book writers and lyricists and librettists, composers. We even have adapters and translators and devising artists. So it's not just traditional playwrights. These are people at all stages of their career, big names, people you're incredibly familiar with, people who are very well known. It's also people you have yet to discover, who have written the next great play and you just don't know it yet. People often ask us what makes for a new play, and we say every play is new to somebody. So as long as the author is alive and owns the copyright, that author can share their work on the New Play Exchange. But I want to say a little bit more because I think you're going to find this important and we value it quite a bit. The New Play Exchange is both diverse and inclusive. From the very beginning, 50% of the writers in our database or more have identified as women. So this is, gender parity is very important to us. And I think because the ability, there's no gatekeeper, anybody can join. So as a result, everybody does join and everybody does feel welcome. We do have at our last measure, 29% of our writers identify as artists of color. We want that number to be higher. We want it to be, reflective of the entire population of the country. At the same time, it's a lot higher than the percentage of work we see produced on stage. It's about double what we see produced in the United States. So we feel like we're on the right track. We've been working very hard to get the number up to 29 from, I think it started at 21 or thereabout when we launched the New Play Exchange. So please, as a personal note, if you know any writers of color who aren't familiar with the New Play Exchange, please tell them that we're here and make sure they know so that we can keep growing the diversity of writers and perspectives and points of view who are in our library. That really matters to us. Okay. How this works for you and your faculty. Students and educators can search for writers to learn from, to study their work, to collaborate with in some cases, to seek out as mentors. We have, you have the ability to contact the writers of the New Play Exchange and send them notes. People send hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of notes per month. Your students can do that, your faculty can do that. And of course, you can also, you saw the button earlier, you can inquire about the performance rights to a play as well if you're interested in producing it. So the search for people in the database is also fairly, it's fairly simple, but it also gives you a lot of choices. You can look somebody up by name to make sure they're in there, or you can filter by the type of person or the kind of work they do. So not only just writers, but you can find, if you're looking for a lyricist in particular, you can find a lyricist. If you're looking for a dramaturg to hire for freelance work, you can do that. And of course, you can sort these results or filter these results by gender, ethnicity, sexual identity even, and playwright location. So for instance, if you're in Utah and you're looking for local writers in Utah, you can pick the United States and then pick Utah, and you'll suddenly see a list of writers who are based in Utah, or a list of dramaturgs as well. So when you find the person you want to get to know better, you'll see, again, a really robust set of information about that person. You will see their own bio of themselves. That's that section at the top. If it's a writer, you will see all of the plays they have written in the New Play Exchange, and you can drill down from there into each one. Over on the right, you'll see some of their contact information, including if they have an agent, their agent's contact information. You can click through and read their artistic statement. You can click a button to contact the user. And you can even see any recommendations the user has written of plays in the database. So there's really a lot to get to know about the artist that you might find. And really what this all adds up to for us is that at the end of the day, if you're going to teach modern drama in any way, shape, or form, the New Play Exchange is the indispensable resource. It's the same thing for the study of modern drama that the Riverside edition is for the study of Shakespeare. It's the one thing you have to have. It's the one comprehensive resource. You can't find 36,000 scripts in one place like you can with the New Play Exchange. There's just nowhere else to do that. So I want to talk about some of the, 3 of the most common use cases so that you really understand how the New Play Exchange would work in a sort of day-to-day way for your students and faculty. And there are many, many other choices. I'm happy to talk about those as well. But the basic premise is that an educator can use the New Play Exchange to find plays and create a reading list for a class. So essentially the backbone of a syllabus. And then once that syllabus is complete, the educator can share those plays with the students in their classes as a way of saying, here's what we're going to be reading this semester. And then students have access to those same plays to download and complete their courses. It's kind of a basic tool that's immensely useful and that educators are finding is essential to the crafting of their syllabi. It's also important to know that because of this actor filter set, which I alluded to before, drama educators can actually find scripts that are precisely suited to the cast they have to work with. You can literally say, well, I've got 3 young women who are African American and 2 young Asian American men and 1 non-binary Latina or Latinx student. And you can enter all those criteria, and then you'll find all of the plays that have roles for exactly that selection of people. If you're looking for, just in a broader sense, roles with large casts so that you can accommodate a lot of student actors, you can just limit by cast size, and you can find exactly the scripts that you need in order to give your students the opportunities they have to practice and learn their craft. And really, this one is particularly important because of our subject matter keywords. You can really find the kind of work that's going to energize and activate your students and give them the kinds of engagement they're really looking for right now. You see, I've entered the keyword Black Lives Matter into the screen you're seeing, and there's hundreds of plays tagged with that particular keyword phrase. So this is relevant work. This is not dated, dead work. This is work that's going to matter and connect with their urgent issues that your students are thinking about, and really that your professors want to be able to teach to as well. At the same level, if you've got I don't know, a history professor who wants to teach about the Vietnam War, you can also use the same tool to find plays about the Vietnam War, and then it's a sort of artistic way to get into the same subject matter and really engage students through drama instead of just studying history, or in addition to just studying history as written. So those are some of the key use cases I wanted to make sure you saw. Obviously the question that's on everyone's mind right now is how we do what we need to do during the current pandemic. And the best thing about the New Play Exchange is that it's accessible to students and faculty wherever they are, when they're at home, when they're on campus. We do that by IP whitelisting and proxy servers. By adding the IP addresses for your proxy servers to our tool, we make sure that anyone who's accessing the internet from the IP ranges you've given us has the ability to search our database. So it works in any environment, and it's always worked that way. We were sort of fortunate in that regard, that we were able to stand up to the present moment and be there for people. So who's on board already? Just so you know, you aren't the only ones who are joining. If you do join, we've been around for a little over a year, and in that year, maybe it's a year and a half now, 65 colleges and universities have subscribed, and now about 625,000 students, faculty, and staff across the world really have access to the New Play Exchange. And it's, people often ask for names. There's 3, 4, 5 of the Ivies. It's big state schools. It's art schools like your own. It's small liberal arts schools. It's even some religious schools. It's schools of all ages, all sizes, all locations. Really, it works for everybody. So everybody is clamoring to get in, and we're going as fast as we can to get people on board. At the same time, there are also, in addition to these higher education subscriptions that we figure you might be the most interested in, there are individual subscriptions. So writers can subscribe so that they can share their work. Readers subscribe, and I'm going to tell you more about who they are. And then organizations can purchase a subscription that's a different kind. It's about having a profile for yourself in the New Play Exchange and making sure that you're findable too. And so that you can, if you have an opportunity for a production and you want to search for eligible writers, so you can share that opportunity with writers. So how many writers are there? At the moment, I think we just may have crossed 8,800. And again, it's writers of all kinds, doing all kinds of work, traditional comedy, big farces, musicals, really experimental, site-specific, immersive work. If you name it, it's in there. Radio drama, puppetry, commedia dell'arte, it's all in there. And again, these are writers at all stages of their career, but many, many, many big names, if that matters to you, but many, many, many young and inspired folks as well. And for some context on that number, 8,700, there are about 8,700 members of the Dramatists Guild of America, so which is a 100-and-some-year-old institution. So we're about the same size after only 5 years, and we're adding 100 to 150 writers a month at this point. We do have more than 12,000 readers, and that's really a diverse group. We use the term reader. It's anyone who wants to, for any reason, read plays. That's literary managers and dramaturgs, and it's agents, and it's designers, and it's really even just people who like to read plays, people who go to plays and see them and then want to read the script. Just people who care a lot about reading and thinking about plays, and even, of course, producing them as well. And then we have, I think we're at 838 last I checked organizations. And again, most of those are theaters. It's also sort of new play development programs and contests and festivals, in addition to higher ed organizations. People often ask, well, who are these theaters? First and foremost, it's the 125 core member theaters of National New Play Network. These are the leading new play producing theaters in the United States. So if they produce new plays, they are here in the database. But it's theaters of all sizes. It's tiny little storefront theaters in Chicago with 50 seats in their houses. And it's the Lincoln Center. The Lincoln Center has an organization profile because they find it useful to be able to look up writers and get to know them. So it's really, everyone is welcome. So if you are interested in a higher education subscription, the person you're going to want to speak to is Siobhan Carroll. Yes, we both have a name with B-H-A-N in it because we couldn't resist. Siobhan is here with me and she'll be able to answer questions as well, but take out your phones. Hi, Siobhan. Take out your phones, take a photo of her email address so you can contact her later or write it down, whatever your technology of choice is. Siobhan will help you get set up, and really we're very sensitive to the moment in which we find ourselves. So we're trying to do a free 30-day trial during COVID-19 to make sure that you really can understand whether this is going to be a useful resource for your organization, for your school. We think it is, but we want to ease that pathway for you right now. It's a sliding scale based on your school's FTE. It's, the hallmark for us is accessibility. So you'll find that we are a cost-effective solution. Really, truly, when you see the individual subscription rates in a second, you'll be like, oh, okay. And, it's just a simple master services agreement, which we can work on with you to get you on board. And if you are interested or know someone who would be interested in an individual subscription, you can just sign up at any time at newplayexchange.org. And again, see, the numbers are really, really, really low. They range from as low as $10 to $25 a year. That's not a typo. That's can be about $1 a month on the low end, because we really wanted to make sure that anyone who wanted to belong to the New Play Exchange, who wanted to participate in this incredible community of generosity could make it in, could get in. We're a nonprofit organization. We are not here to make money. We are here to build community and to serve the field. And again, you saw our mission at the beginning. It's to serve the common good of the new play sector. So that's why we've kept everything very accessible for folks. So last one is my name, again, B-H-A-N, it's just Sullivan. And you have my email address. You can copy that down. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, to hear from you at any time, and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm here. I'm delighted. And with that, I'm going to stop my screen share. And I am going to take a look at the questions that are in the chat and the Q&A. And Siobhan, if there's one I want to throw to you, I might do that. Let's see. I'm going to go to the chat first. And I'm going to say how many people are here. I answered that. How searchable is it? If someone wants to search plays on protests or George Floyd or COVID-19, it sure is a yes. You can search for anything your heart desires. And believe me, there are so many keywords you wouldn't believe it. We have to, sort of regularly groom that list. You wouldn't believe how many people do fat finger some keys and end up with asterisk, pound sign, green as a keyword. And we help them figure that out. Let's see. Patrice, thank you. Ivan, if you have any specific questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, Gwydion, I think we got everybody in all of the questions in the chat. We do have a few in the Q&A.
Oh, okay. I'm going to switch over to there now. Great. Hi, Ivan. I'm going to answer your question first. The difference is actually quite significant. So an organization membership subscription is meant for one person, one individual person whose job it is to maintain a profile for that organization in the New Play Exchange. That profile lets you search for plays and have access to all our search features. It also lets you share opportunities with writers. So if you were going to do a reading series and you're looking for plays about climate change, you can fill out our opportunity form, and the New Play Exchange does magic where it immediately emails everyone in our database who has a play that's about climate change and lets them know about your opportunities so they can reach out to you in whatever way you choose on the sort of wizard. So that's what an organizational subscription is. It's really for one person, whoever is going to maintain the University of Minnesota Theater Department profile. An institutional, or what we call a higher education subscription, provides access for your entire campus community, for students, faculty, and staff. And really it gives them access to just the basic core features that don't require individual presences. So you can search for scripts, you can search for people, you can contact writers, you can inquire about rights, you can download and read scripts, and learn about writers and all of that core stuff. But anything that would require individuation, like recording your own private notes about a script or writing a recommendation about a script, that requires an individual membership. You can actually have both, and many, many, many people do. So I think that's my answer. Is there a way to search for plays that are suited for streaming, virtually rehearsed productions? There isn't an explicit search for that. I'm going to answer that one now. There isn't like, we don't provide a filter for that, but if you use Zoom plays, I believe is the one that people are using on our database, you will find many, many, many scripts that authors have indicated are suited for Zoom. So it's not a feature of ours, but it is using the subject matter keyword to search our database. And we have been inundated with requests about that, as you might imagine, and there's lots of people using the New Play Exchange in that way. I think I've already answered anonymous attendees' question about the difference between a higher ed subscription and an organization subscription for a theater department, but I'm going to answer it in another way. Often you want both. And Siobhan is very happy to talk to you about a package in which you would get both as well. So that way, someone running your department can have access to creating a profile for your department, so that if young theater students are considering your school as a place to study theater, and they look for you on the New Play Exchange, you're there and you're not, hidden. But an institutional subscription, the higher ed subscription, will give your actual students and your faculty access to our library. So that's that. So are there any other questions? I think we can, I'm happy to stay on and answer anything that anyone else. I see one has popped up. Can y'all add Siobhan's contact in the chat? You bet we can. There you go. She is expecting her email to be inundated as well when this is over. And I think that might be all I'm hearing from people. Thank you from Texas, y'all. Thank you, Marcus. Oh, can I give a rough estimate for the annual cost? I'm going to let Siobhan answer this one. Why don't you unmute yourself?
Hello. So Patrick, as Gwydion alluded to, the pricing is based on the size and type of institution, and again, as a sliding scale. At the lower end, we basically start at about $295 a year and go up to about $2,100 a year. Again, at the top end of that would be an extremely large institution. I believe UCLA is at that price point, just as a reference point. And it is, again, based on how many students are a full-time equivalent at the institution. I would say the average for most of our educational institutions is right at about the $500 per year mark, but certainly happy to discuss that further with you for specific institutions as well.
Thank you, Siobhan.
You are welcome.
So, Allison, is there anything you want to say to maybe close us out? There she is.
I would thank you again. And anybody who misplaces the information about who they want to reach from NNPN is welcome to contact me anytime and we'll put you in touch. Thank you all for listening in today. Thank you to the whole team from NNPN very much.
Thank you. We're really grateful and we hope you're doing well. Stay well.